Hello, this is Matt from Workarea, and I'm going to walk you through some basic workflows in the Workarea commerce platform, focusing on content and marketing in this round. I'm going to stage changes to my site content, navigation, catalog, and promotions all in my production environment and schedule them to publish and undo automatically. We'll start this off by logging in. When I log in using my administrator credentials, using the same login as a customer might, I actually get something a little bit different than your traditional customer will see, and that is the Workarea admin toolbar up here at the top. From here, I can navigate into the administrative backend of my store and start preparing and previewing changes I want to make. I can also see that I'm working on a particular version of the production site, and depending on what I'm browsing on the production site, I can jump into editing that from the toolbar here. So the first thing I'm going to do before I really get into things, we'll go into the dashboard here and take a look at our alerts. I want to make sure that product data that I've imported is ready to go. And when I look at the alerts here, I can see that I actually have a number of products without descriptions, which makes sense because the product feed from my ERP doesn't really send over as much content as we need for the website. Now, if I click on this, it's going to take me to a list of those products missing descriptions, and I have bulk editing tools that I can use to fix that if I'd like. I can select all of these and with a couple of clicks disable all of the products that don't have descriptions, or with edit each, I can step through and add descriptions one at a time through these products, or I have the ability to export all of these products as a JSON or CSV file and do the work that I need to do in Excel or something like that and push it back up. You can also push products and pull products in and out of Workarea through Workarea's native APIs. We've got full coverage of Workarea through APIs on both the admin and the storefront, so you can operate headlessly or write your own integrations and other software into Workarea. So, pretending I've actually done something with my product information, I'm going to build a landing page using Workarea's content management system. I'm not going to build the whole thing out, but I will get started on something that's enough to let someone else in the marketing team flesh the rest of the content page out. So by clicking on my primary menu indicator here, I will come into content pages, and I have a couple that are set up here already, but I'm going to add this new page, and we're going to make this my email blast landing page. When I save that and it kicks me over into the next step of adding content, this is where we start to show how Workarea builds content using responsive content blocks. Responsive content blocks make it easy for me to create shoppable content using a mix of text, images, video, shoppable images, and more. And of course, it's all responsive out of the box. I'll start off with a hero image. So I'm going to click on this particular block here. From my asset picker, I could drag and drop something from the desktop, or I can use something that I've already added to my asset manager here. So I will go ahead with one of these images here. This is something that is treated like almost a micro template. So I've got an image, there's a call to action, so shop the new looks for September. Everything that I'm typing is being rendered in real time using the same front end as the storefront. Again, because these are all written in Ruby on Rails, you've got easy API access to all of this, and it's basically a live update. I'm going to leave the URL blank here, and I'm going to set this actually to hide for small devices. I want to give a slightly different experience to mobile users. Once I save that, I can now add other content to this page. For now, I'm going to add a text content block, and I'm just going to leave the default text there. I'm not the copywriter, so I'll let somebody else come in and do that work. Once I've saved that, I'll make another simple addition to this landing page from Workarea's content blocks, and we will drop in personalized product recommendations on the page. This is one of the many dynamic blocks that come out of the box with Workarea. This is going to show a certain number of products based off of the active user's shopping history. So, depending on what they've purchased in the past or what they've just clicked on and looked at, they're going to see different recommendations on this content page. So I'll go ahead and hit save on that. If I want to rearrange things on this content page, it's as simple as dragging and dropping the little summaries over on the side here. And to make sure that everything looks good in different screen sizes, I can click on preview and switch between a widescreen, where we're seeing the recommendations are 5 across, maybe 6 across. On medium, we're emulating a tablet at this point, and you can see that things are broken down a little bit differently here. And when I go to a small screen, all I have are the product recommendations and the text, because I did tell Workarea to hide that banner image when viewing on a phone. So that is, in short, how to add content blocks to a content page. You're going to see that the content management system that I'm using here for this landing page is the same content tool that anyone would be using for modifying the home page, for building out a category page, and that's a slightly different workflow we'll get into in a moment. And you even use this content block system for adding items into your mega nav. There are a lot of options available out of the box, including shoppable images, product insights, which actually take analytic reports and generate products to be displayed on the page based off of how well they're performing. And you also have the ability to write straight HTML straight to the page. These are just what are available out of the box. Because Workarea is open source, you do have the option of building your own custom content blocks. They're really easy to spin up, and that allows you to tailor the experience to something that's a little more specific to your business needs. With any of these blocks that you build out, you can actually reuse them elsewhere on the site by saving them as a preset. So in this case, I'm just going to call it something simple like text content for categories. We'll call this for landing pages. And once I hit save, we'll see that this preset that I saved is now available down here, and I can click on that on any other content page and reuse that either as is or modify it for that particular page that you might be adding this to elsewhere. Now, let's jump into the Advanced tab and tweak things a little further. Workarea does give you full SEO access to things like alt tags and browser title and meta description. These are going to be filled out by default by automation, the browser title being based off of the name of the page that you're on, and the meta description being pulled from the content. The CSS and JavaScript that you write here can be output straight to page, so that you're not waiting on a developer to deploy code to make changes to the site. And you also have access to the Open Graph image here for more control over how you're shared on social networks. By uploading an image to the Open Graph field, you show that image when this page is being shared on Facebook or LinkedIn or the like, rather than showing a default image or showing the largest image on a page. Lots of control and flexibility available here should you need it, and lots of automation in case you don't have time to do that. Moving along, I'm going to click on the next step, adding this to the site taxonomy. The way that Workarea works, because we mix content and commerce, you can have a very mixed site navigation. And your taxonomy can have elements from your content pages, blog entries, categories, even products, and of course links to external URLs. You can have this be a subcategory, you can have it be a subcategory if you like. You can actually have as many levels of taxonomy as you want to punish your UX person with. In this case, since we're doing this as an email landing page, we're going to skip adding this to the taxonomy. This is going to be a standalone page that you can only get to if you have the URL for it. It's not something that you can just browse to. The last step in this process, when does this go live? I have a couple of releases that I've already set up in Site Planner. I have the ability to publish this now because I have the right permissions for that. I could always decide later. But for this demonstration, we're going to create a new release in Site Planner as part of the workflow for creating this content. This is going to be, we'll just call it something super creative like fall sale. And we're going to start this off in a couple of weeks because there's still work to be done. I'm going to have this publish on the 16th. We'll do this at 2 in the morning just because I can. And when I save and finish, it's going to kick me back to a summary of the landing page that I just created. We can see summary versions of the content. There's a timeline showing the work that I did and when I did it. I can see that on the current version of the site, this particular page is inactive. There's no checkbox marked there. But if I do go to that fall sale that I just set up, well, once I switch to that release in the Site Planner nav here, this does become an active category. I'm going to leave a comment here because I know that this needs additional work. Again, I'm not the copywriter here, so please make sure to add text to the content on the page. And I will just see, this is why I'm not the one who's doing the writing. I have little flubs like a period going in the wrong place. I'm going to make sure that I notify my copywriter Bob Clams here. So now that I've created that comment, Bob is going to get a notification that on this landing page there is work to be done. Of course, this isn't where the journey ends. Next up, we're actually going to look at how to add merchandise to a new category in the system. I'm going to do that by going to the catalog section of our navigation, and under categories, let's look at what's there already. In the list that we have here, you can see a number of existing categories, and you can see a spark line showing just how well each of these categories has been performing over the last 3 months. This is all fine and dandy, but I am going to start a new category, and this is going to be something of a re-merchandising exercise. We're changing how we promote things, and for the fall, since the weather is getting cooler, we're going to start promoting some suits. So this category we'll call men's suits. And again, this kicks us into a workflow that you see at the bottom of the screen here. The first step setup is pretty straightforward. Once I save that, the URL is automatically created for this category. The URL is based off of the category name. You can actually see it up here in the URL bar. The next step here is to add products to this category that I've just created. I can add products with rules. I can manually pick products. I can do both within a single category. We're going to start off by creating rules for products. So this is where we are going to use Elasticsearch to create a category that is dynamic based off of a certain set of rules that we're going to define. And as products meet these rules, they will automatically be merchandised into this category. I mentioned this is a re-merchandising exercise, so I'm going to start off with products in an existing category. And when I first get the results set back, I've got 68 products currently in my site. I'm going to just select the men's category, and that's going to narrow it down to looks like 18 matching products here. Having done that, I'm going to click Save, and let's narrow it down a little bit further. We are going to then just use straight up search here, since I really just want the suits to be shown in this page. Once I click Save, I can type suit and immediately get results back. All of those drop downs are an interface for Elasticsearch, but the search rule that you have actually gives you full Lucene syntax availability. So you can build some pretty interesting complex rules that can be used to drive products automatically into this particular category. So by doing this, any product in the men's category that has the word suit in it is going to automatically come into this category. I can use other things like if I want to create a what's new category that I don't have to merchandise all the time, just pick a category that has rules around the creation date, and products will automatically flow in as the what's new category. You're never going to have to merchandise a sale category again because you've got that rule here. You could even use this to create an automation workflow around clearance, where by setting up rules around inventory and around age of product, you can automatically funnel products into a clearance category that then is assigned a promotion and just move that inventory out as you need to. You also see on my screen here, I've got color, size, material, and season as different filter options here. These are based off of the product data that is in my system. I'm demonstrating with fashion data, so I can actually create products based off of just fields that are in there that in editing a product, you can add dynamic values through things like the API, through CSVs. So moving on, I'm going to get into the next step here and continue on to content. This is a familiar scene. It's a little bit different for your category that you're working on because we have some options here that weren't present on the content page that we were working on before. I can add content above the results, in the grid, and below the results. We're going to keep this pretty simple since we walked through content management earlier, and I'm going to throw an image at the top of the page. We're going to pull that image from my asset manager. I came up with this myself. It's pretty clever, I think. And after that, I'm going to add some content in the product grid. The idea here being that if you have somebody who is looking for suits, you probably want to upsell them on something else to go with that. So within the product grid here, we'll say in the third position, and we're going to do this as just one cell high by one cell wide. I'm going to pick an asset here and get some beard. Wonderful. So I can go ahead and change this and say something snappy while I change this around. Get our grooming products. Shop now. And once I save that, we can continue on to the familiar step that we saw before in the content management system, taxonomy. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and add this as a subcategory of the men's category. Once I've done that, I'm going to save and continue. And the last step, again, is when does this go live? Because I started in the context of Site Planner, I already have fall sale selected. So when I save and finish, that's going to kick me back to the summary of the category that I looked at. And we can see that in the fall sale, this category is active. If I go to the live site, this category is no longer active. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at Site Planner itself so we can see a little more of what I'm talking about as I go through this. There are a couple of different ways to get to this, but I'm going to start by going into the menu that we saw before, and we're going to look at the context of the other things that are going on with the site. I have a number of releases that you saw in earlier workflows. Most of them don't have any changes, but I've already added a number of things to this fall sale, so we can see that this has 4 changes going live September 16th. This sale being temporary, I'm going to add an undo date here, and we're going to pick this, we're going to say if it's going live on the 16th, let's bring it back down on the 23rd. We can see the changes that I've already planned. We can go in here and look at the email blast landing page. We can see that we've added a category called men's suits. We can actually preview this in the storefront. Now, this takes me out to the live site, but because I'm an administrator with the correct permissions, I can view the live site in the context of that future version of the site. This being the fall sale, when I click into the men's section of the site, we're going to see in the navigation over here, men's suits is a category that I'm able to browse to because I am browsing this within the context of Site Planner. If I switch over to the live site, what anybody else who's viewing this page is going to see is just this men's category. We can go back into that fall sale We can browse over to that men's category and look at the men's suits subcategory of this and just make sure that everything looks good. Again, test that we've got the right header image here. We've got my wonderful, wonderful advertisement in the middle of my product grid here. And we can just make sure that everything looks good in your mobile environment. This being fully responsive, you can actually test this out in different screen sizes. You can complete the entire transaction process in production and make sure that any pricing changes that you have or any discounts work correctly before this information goes out and gets published. I mentioned discounts, so let's go ahead and add a discount to this sale. We have a number of discounts available out of the box using Workarea's discount engine. And you can read about these in more depth on workarea.com. For now, I'm going to start with a category level discount. We're going to go ahead and set this up as a suit sale. And once I get to this screen, this is where the more interesting aspect of discounts comes to play. I'm going to select either a dollar discount or a percent. Let's do percent. Let's set this up as a 15% discount off of, again, this being a category level discount. We'll do it off the men's suits. Although you can make this, you can include multiple categories in this discount. We can do this for everyone, but let's set this up so that when the order total is greater than $250, you qualify for this discount. You could qualify for it automatically, or we could make you do a little bit more work as a consumer. We're going to set this up so that you have to use a promo code. It could be a static code like Save15, or it could be a promotional code from a list that you've generated. You can either generate those codes in Workarea and then export that out to your email service provider, or you could generate that with your email service provider and import it into Workarea. Either way, we're going to go ahead and use that list. I'm going to make this a single-use discount. We can disallow sale items or not. Discounts in Workarea are incompatible by default, but we can stack discounts. We know that there's, the type of customers that like to figure out the different puzzles that they can find to get the best deals that they like. You've got control over that here. In addition to that, even though we do have this category that we set up programmatically, maybe there are products in there that we aren't allowed to have discounts on, maybe through manufacturer's advertising policy or through just a lack of margin on those products or subcategories. Go ahead and exclude those. And then once I save and continue, we hit that publish step again, and we're going to mark that to go live with this fall sale. Now, before I wrap up, I do want to show search because that is another really important aspect of Workarea as a platform. It's not just a catalog and content management tool. It has an incredibly robust search engine built into the platform. And that goes not just for storefront search, but if, for example, you're a customer service user taking phone calls and placing orders on behalf of people, go ahead and search for users based off of their address, their name, their email address, their phone number. We'll look at Winifred here. And as I'm searching, I'm getting information back specific to this person whose name is matching here. You can actually search across the admin for blogs, categories, menus, all kinds of things that you normally would have to browse through and find, like your homepage or your system layout page. You can actually just search for and get to. Another aspect of search is customizing what an end user sees when they are searching your site. So, for example, if I'm looking at the reports in Workarea and I see that there are a lot of folks on the front end who, for some reason, are searching for the word slate, and they're not really getting the results, I'm not getting conversions out of that search, we can guide those users to more specific search results by customizing the results that they see when they search for slate. Currently, when somebody searches for slate on my example storefront, they're actually going to get some unusual search results because my data here does not actually include the word slate anywhere. Being Elasticsearch, it has spelling correction, it's got stemming and pluralization, and it's trying here. Slate is pretty close to sail, but it's not quite what we're looking for. So let's bring back more relevant results by going in here to this particular search, and we're going to rewrite this search to use the word black instead. Now, the end user, they're still going to see it as slate. They don't know that it's actually been rewritten behind the scenes to show products that have the word black in it. And as a matter of fact, amongst those products, we are showing the image that is tied to the black option for that product. So we're really trying to do our best out of the box to show the most relevant things to the user who's searching here. But maybe among those products, even though their organic results are based off of things like click-throughs and purchase, and there's a decay rate on that so that you're getting dynamic results back, the organic results may not necessarily be what you need to help move product. So for example, back on the storefront here, we've got a watch and sunglasses that maybe aren't as high up on the list as we would like because we've got inventory that we need to move. We can come in here and feature those products. So if I search for a chronograph, I can go ahead and pick a couple of these and then click and drag to rearrange which ones show up first. Now if I go back to my storefront here, I'm going to reload the page, and the first two items that I see are not actually the organic top results. These are the ones that I told it to put to the top of the search. Let's go ahead and adjust this even further. I'm going to use product rules similar to what we saw in merchandising to tweak the results here. So for example, maybe I want to boost my average order value. Maybe since this is a popular search, we're gonna move some of the more expensive things. So I'll come in here, select price, and I'm going to tell it to only show products that are greater than $120. By hitting save, now instantly on the storefront, when I reload the page here, we're no longer getting those 25 results. We're getting 15 results back, and everything that we're seeing is going to cost at least $120. We can then add as many rules as we like to drive those results even further. You can exclude products. Maybe there are things that you don't want to show up in this list. For example, that Charlene high heel is just not scratching me right here. So let's go ahead and take that out of the list here. Additionally, we can add content that is specific to this search result. So when somebody's searching for Slate, let's add a banner right at the top, again using the same content management tool that you saw for the category and for the landing page that we built here. And I'm going to say Slate is great, and we're going to go ahead and save that. Again, reloading on the front side of the site, and we're going to see that little text pop up above the content, above the product list here. This is different than just a generic search for black, which returns the more standard results that we saw before. 25 products, sorted organically, no content specific to that search. And this really is just the tip of the iceberg here. There is a lot that you can get into, and as you go ahead and tweak these, you can always go ahead and analyze what's going on and see just exactly how we're using Elasticsearch to do things like rewrite the term because the spell correction isn't quite what we're looking for. We can see that we featured items ahead of the organic results, and the score that's being represented here is related to how we can control weighting and boosts around search. And that's over in the search settings here, where even though it is a learning search, even though it does take into account spelling and what other people searched for, it's never going to know that a hoagie is a hero is a sandwich. So you can enter in synonyms, or come in here, as I mentioned, boosts earlier, tweak which fields have more weight in the display order of the products that come back when you search. So again, a lot to go through here. This was a quick run through. There really is so much more that you can do with Workarea just out of the box. And because it's open source and written on Ruby on Rails, you can easily extend the platform and tailor it to your specific business needs. What I showed you here is how Workarea comes out of the box. We have some optional features that are specific to Workarea Commerce Cloud in terms of some of the B2B features. But other than that, everything else that you're seeing here is available to browse as code. And you can go ahead and extend the platform beyond what you see here and tailor this to meet your specific business needs. For more information, visit workarea.com, where you can get links to developer documentation, case studies about existing Workarea users, and explore our plugin ecosystem. You can pull the source code from GitHub and explore it yourself, or contact one of us here for a more in-depth conversation. Thanks for watching, and good luck with your e-commerce adventure.